dan hun Barometer Survey gepresenteerd. Er zijn in de afgelopen periode 2 surveys geweest. En deze zijn dan uitgevoerd door NICOS, welke staat voor NGO Instituut voor Kaderontwikkeling en Onderzoek in Suriname, onder leiding van Widjai Schalkwijk. En dit project die is bekostigd door de IDB.
Expectations of the companies that have to do with their exports, whether they expect an increase or a decrease. The score is 6.8, which is sufficient, but it's actually it's higher than the first survey. In the first survey it was 6.5, so you see a slight increase. Actually we wanted to be a 10, but now 6.3, so we hope in the third survey that it will be a 7 or 8. Okay, if we look at the percentage of the revenues that were companies in their revenue, I will concentrate on these 2 bars, or the 4 bars. The orange one is from the second survey, so the last one, and the blue one is from the first survey. If we look at the circle here, then we see that in both surveys, the majority of the companies, they generate their revenues in Suriname. Here, 51% and higher. So 20 plus 58 is 78, and 11 plus 43 is 54. I can still count, yes. Okay, so the majority they generate their revenues in Suriname and not outside. Here we also have a score, also from 0 to 10. Here we are looking at the expectations of the companies with regard to the business climate, and this score is 6.3. The first survey was 5.4, so here is a much higher increase from 5.4 to 6.3. So that's it gives us, it's a bit optimistic. We hope the third survey will be higher than the 6.3. So here we'll look at the exporters and the foreign investors. If we look at the first survey, so here are the scores from the first survey, and here are the scores from the second survey. It's an average score about their confidence, whether they have confidence, yes or no. The exporters, they rise from 5.2 to 6.3, so it's a high rise actually. While the foreign investors, they go from 6.1 to 6.4. Also increase, not so high, but still increase. So we are also looking forward to the third survey to look at the trend. So to be able to look at the trend, you need more surveys. It's okay to look at 2 surveys, but if you look at a third or fourth or fifth survey, then you have a much better view. Here we are looking at the expectations that the companies have for the following year. You can see the following 12 months, and it's there are four areas: workforce, investments, profit, and turnover. I will concentrate on the blue bars, because the blue bars we are looking at the increase. Blue is slightly increase, and dark blue is significant increase. So if we add them up, then we can see that the majority of the companies, they expect an increase on all these areas. So all these areas, they score more than 50% as the score for the increase. I said before that I will also look at the obstacles. We have looked at, I think, 12 or 14 obstacles, varying from currency fluctuations to certification, and here I will concentrate on the scores on the right, yellow and red. So if you look at the obstacles that they mentioned, if we add up these scores, yellow and orange and red, then we see that the majority of the companies look at, or they name these things as obstacles. The obstacle that was mentioned most was currency fluctuations, then bureaucratic hurdles, the unpredictability of policy making, general inflation rate, and cost and availability. What I did, we added it up, 46 plus 16, this was this. and then you go up to more than 50%. And then this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are the ones that were mentioned most. If you add them up, then you will see that almost the same. All of them are about 54, no, 54. But yeah, but still, if you, yeah, no problem. Here we included the third survey. So this is, gives a better picture. I will concentrate on these thick lines because we are looking here at business expectations. Here we have a shift from the first, the second, and the third survey. This line is important because it concentrates on business confidence. It's a business confidence score, an average score. And the score goes from 5.4 in the first survey, 6.3 in the second survey, and 6.8 in the third survey. So there's a line that's increasing. Hopefully it goes up. The blue one, this one, is the expert expectation score. We had an increase from the first to the second survey, but now we see a decrease. So the question is, what happened here? Not for me to answer, but these are the results. Most of the lines are increasing. There's one line also here, the gray one. Oh, it's also increasing. It was declining, but now it's increasing, so that's also a good sign. And yeah, actually you see an increase of almost all of the on the areas. Conclusions. If we compare the first and the second barometer surveys, then we see that the business confidence has improved. That's a good sign. I think the minister will like that. We see that the score, the business confidence score, has improved from 5.4 to 6.3, it's also very good. Then we see that especially the exporters, they expect increase, notable increase in their optimism. They are quite optimistic and they are getting more optimistic. But what we don't have to forget are the challenges, because there are always challenges. There's optimism, but there are also challenges. The most significant ones we have seen already in the slides, but I will mention them again. Macroeconomic uncertainty, especially inflation and exchange rates, inefficiency of the government, very important also. People are complaining about slow procedures and also lack of transparency of the government. I'm not looking at anyone, I'm just mentioning what the majority. And also labor-related challenges. We are mentioning cost, availability, limited availability of course, and also inadequate skills of the labor force. These are the most important conclusions. As you said before, there are there's much more data. There are more analysis to be made, but we concentrate for this presentation on this. So hopefully you have a good feel of what we did and what are the main results.
I will show you some of the main findings from this third survey, but these are preliminary findings because we only have 101 companies and the survey is still going on for 2 weeks. So they can be adjusted a bit, but it gives a general picture. As Mevrouw Snow mentioned, we already put the scores in, so you could see the scores, but I will show you some other data. So far we have 101 companies. Interesting is almost 1/3 did not participate in the previous surveys. So there are new companies that are now participating, and we hope that also the companies that already participated, that you don't get fatigued, but still participate, because then we can show some trends. What we also did in the report is sometimes we focus on the same companies that responded to both surveys, because sometimes people say, yeah, maybe there are different companies, so maybe the trend isn't really a trend, but you can see even if you just look at the companies that answered in all of the surveys, you see the same trend that we just have shown you. What we see is a lot of people that are responding are from CEOs or from senior management, so that is very good because they have, I think, pretty much the best outlook, and that's also what we want. We also ask that in the survey, that someone from senior management or a CEO fills it in, and also now we have a very good distribution across sectors. Yeah, the response rate in the first survey was 34%, in the second survey was 26%, so it went down a slightly bit, so we hope that there are much more companies that want to participate now, and that's why we also are having this day today, so we also provide you with the information of the surveys. And there were 60 companies that participated in both of the surveys. For this last one, we still have to look how much participated in the previous ones. But even if you did a more in-depth analysis, where I said on these companies, you see the same trend that is going on. So that's kind of a good sign. We had a question about SITA this time, if you have heard about SITA, and that's pretty positive, because almost 3/4 of the companies have ever heard about SITA. Only 24% has never heard about SITA. So if you are here today and you have never heard about SITA, there are enough people from SITA. But a lot of people are aware, or some people don't know for sure what SITA does. So after the questions, presentations, we will also have a short presentation on SITA, but especially how they can help you, especially as a Surinamese exporting company, but also as a foreign investor, because that's what we actually want to do. Not just present data, but make steps in how we can help the business environment with next steps. What we did this time is, because in both surveys we saw that even though you are exporting company from Suriname, but it's kind of a paradox, because most of your revenue is still generated in Suriname. So even though you're an exporting company or providing services to foreign tourists, most of the revenue is still generated in Suriname or by locals. That was a finding that we saw every time, even now in this third survey. So this time we asked companies that are actually successful exporters or focusing on foreign tourists, what did you do to sustain or build your export activity? So what can we learn from you? And these were the main three things that they said: international business networks, relationships with foreign clients, but also the quality, the reliability, and distinctiveness of their products or services helps them to become a major exporting company, and their own strength and capacity, that they've built quite a strong organization or business. So that are three of the main things that helps them to build and sustain their exporting services. And we also ask companies that were actually in this range, so they don't generate a lot of revenue by foreign markets or with foreign tourists, what is actually your main obstacle? And of course there is kind of a line with what we just presented, but limited international business networks or lack of relationships with foreign clients was what they mentioned. Also a lack of international certifications, standards, or difficulty meeting requirements of foreign markets. And the third one, this was in priority. So the third one was limited access to finance and investment capital. So SITA is here, and they can help you with actually some of these issues. If you are a Surinamese company and want to expand your foreign base of clients or foreign tourists, and that's what they will present also later on about a cost-sharing grant, a grant that you can get to help you expand your exporting base, because we saw that that was very needed. Now, the obstacles that we have now, they can change a little bit, because I said the survey is still going on, but this is from 101 companies already, and we see kind of a trend, of course, with the previous surveys, but also with previous business surveys that have been conducted in Suriname. We see as number one again, bureaucratic hurdles. So 60% of all of the companies participating, foreign investors and exporting companies, say it is a major or very severe obstacle for them. So this is a lot of companies. Unpredictability in policy making. We see again currency fluctuations. These were both on two, they have the same percentage. General inflation. And as number four, and this is increasing, we see among the different surveys that we've held, it's becoming a more important issue, is the labor market. The educational level, the skills that people have, In fact, we are discussing to maybe, if we are going to conduct a fourth survey, to maybe focus a bit even more on one theme or one topic. And the prices of utilities was number 5, and number 6 was company certification. And also with this one, we see that it increases. So in the previous surveys, it was not so much an issue, but now it's becoming much more of an issue for companies. So that's kind of an interesting trend that you also see, that the labor force and the certification has gone much more as a major or very severe obstacle for companies. I will skip these slides, but during the discussions I can show you. What we have done now is, if your company, this is the first time that we've done this, says it is a major or severe obstacle, we have also given you specific questions only to those companies as what are the exact obstacles regarding bureaucratic hurdles or the labor force. This is a preliminary data analysis, so it can still change as I mentioned to you, but I can't go into everything. But bureaucratic and policy related challenges are slow, complex administrative procedures, unpredictability of policies or changes that are made without having good contact with the companies, weak coordination among government agencies and even communication, but also transparency is a major issue. Regarding the labor force, there is an enormous shortage of skilled labor, technical staff, IT specialists, experienced professionals, as most of you will probably know from the business sector. There is also a skills gap and mismatch between the educational system in Suriname and what companies need. But also one of the major things was the work ethic. So even if you find people, what is the work ethic of the people? Yeah, responsibility, motivation, absenteeism, and retention also. That maybe you find the right people, but then they leave in a year, or they migrate, or they go to another company for a bit of a higher salary. So that's also one of the major issues. And utilities, I won't go into this because everybody knows everything about the utilities in Suriname if you've been here longer. So I will skip this, but if we put it on the website, then you can look at it more in depth. And transportation and logistics, but this is much more focused on in the in-depth interviews also in the report. Yeah, but also high transportation, fuel costs, limited international connectivity, the infrastructure, and delays. Even if you're exporting, then sometimes there are delays also. And taxation, we will also skip this one because actually taxation, even though they mention a lot of things, but in the number of obstacles, taxation wasn't the highest. It wasn't even in the top 7. So as I mentioned, so we focused on it, but these were the top 7 because 2 is here. So taxation was even not so much of an issue, but it is an issue, but not the most severe issue or important issue. So also logistics is not here, transportation, but we ask companies what are the main problems, but it isn't the most urgent.